Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Today, you're in for a real treat. Myself and Didi from the Bitcoin family were interviewed by our head of master media, Jessica. And this is really important for you guys. If you want to be successful in crypto and blockchain, you need to watch this. There's a lot of people who are in here for the wrong reasons, and if you are, you're gonna get wrecked. So listen to two crypto OGs who tell you what they've been through, why they're in it, and what to expect. Stay tuned, check it out.
What do you want to tell?
Rupert's message is always the same. He can get away with investment advice.
Is Bitcoin going up or down?
Obviously it's going up, stupid. Go buy it right now. Don't get left behind.
Moon!
Moon! Hi, Rupert. My advice would be go buy all the Bitcoin you can with all your monies. Don't invest anything that you don't want to make 100x on. If you leave your money in fiat, you're gonna go broke and be left behind. Buy lots and lots and lots of Bitcoins for Satoshis. Stack sats. Go do it right now. Good boy, Rupert. That's good advice.
He doesn't need a disclaimer that he's a financial advisor because they cannot jail him.
I mean, that's bold advice, Rupert. I wouldn't. I can't. I mean, I agree with you, but I can't give that advice, unfortunately. But it's good advice. I mean,
yeah, it's terrible. We don't have the freedom to give that advice.
Yeah. But Rupert can. Have you seen Bitcoin and Friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been following it from the beginning. I loved it.
I love when he goes, when they do the interview with him, and he goes, oh, my producers are telling me that I have to be careful with what I say, and I can't give investment advice, but go buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, they need some funding, I think, for the next episode.
Yeah, somebody needs to sponsor them.
Yeah. Somebody needs to sponsor them.
It's a good idea. It's a funny show. And the thing about Bitcoin and Friends is that more and more people are going to be watching it. Not only like they might not have a ton of views now, but as Bitcoin gains popularity, people will discover the show and they'll watch it. And right now, it's an opportunity to buy fairly cheap advertising space for something that probably will be extremely popular in the future. I think.
I think it will have millions of views in the future.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many views he already had. I've been following him from the first time and supporting him from the first episode and sharing, and I just really like them. But they are not like adding my family to the show, so
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, but it's still pretty early in the Bitcoin's life. I think in the show.
Yeah, we need to come later.
It's not 2016
when the crazy
yet.
time is there.
Yeah. Imagine when they get to 2017, it's going to be insane.
Yeah.
With all the Moon Lambo kids driving Lamborghinis straight out of their mom's basement.
So should we get started?
Yes.
We already did.
For real though this time.
No, we did though.
Alright. Anyways. Okay.
This is the first time I'm being interviewed by this beautiful woman.
Super excited.
I'm so excited.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining. Today we have Didi from the Bitcoin family and Chasse from Master Ventures. Neither of you really need an introduction. I think many in the space already know who you are. But what I would like to do today is talk about what you believe in, because many of you are working on different projects, but I think it's so important to know what you believe in. Like, what's your mission? If you had to summarize it and say, this is what I believe in, what is that? Didi, we'll start with you.
Oh, I believe. I believe I can fly.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I believe I can touch the sky.
Think about it every night and day.
Well, that was a serious question. Of course. Sorry, I always screw up. I believe in a life where everybody is free to speak, free to do, free to spend, free to share everything what he wants to do. Just freedom life. I believe that blockchain and Bitcoin is a revolution that will provide the tools for humanity to create the next step in the evolution, not only in technology but also like in mindset, because people can start to trust each other again without using lawyers, without using third parties, just because of the trustless protocol of blockchain. And the rest, my goal in life is just to be happy, to make sure my kids are happy, my wife is happy during the day, in the night. And this is just our short-term goal. Just live every day and just be happy.
Nice. What role specifically do you feel you play? Like what do you feel is your role within this space in accomplishing this?
I think that I feel that my role in the space is to kind of keep control in the community, that the fundamentals still hold their value, because this community is slowly changing in this wealth accumulating Lambo mooning community that doesn't even bother anymore that the core fundamentals is disrupting this monetary system, and yes, maybe we need the traditional financial system for this, but the main goal should be the main goal we should all have is that if physical cash is going to disappear, we need an alternative. We need an alternative that is going to replace my physical Thai baht or euro or US dollar that I can just give to anybody I want. And I think that Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency that is built on a decentralized ways is unconfiscatable, is going to provide us of this. And I think this is the core fundamental we need to keep in mind, without focusing, without losing the focus on the Bitcoin price as well, because this is exactly the catch for people to get into the industry, because this is how we lure them in, the kids. Oh, you can become rich. This is how the influencers are doing it nowadays. And then when they come in, they need to be educated about the true fundamentals. And I think this is what we are losing at the moment in the space. I think it's now all about longing Bitcoin, shorting Bitcoin, making 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times, and I think it needs to change it again a little bit back more to, okay, how can we change this world for the better? And I think that is my role as a long-haired lunatic dude that just went all in to, I'm also a little bit older than the rest in space probably, so just to keep just educating people about this, because that is what is important as well.
Thank you. I think that's so important. How would you define your mission and your role in the space?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
So, I was intrigued by Bitcoin when I discovered it, because I knew that, because I understood it, because I read the white paper and I understood what it had the capacity to do, and I understood that the democracies that we have, weren't really democracies, and there was so many flaws in the governing systems of the world that they were really meant to make people believe that they had an option and a role in deciding the way that things were governed. However, the fact is that we really don't. And also I think that there's a tremendous inequality in the world, and the Western societies do a good job at keeping their people sheltered from the rest of the world, what's really going on, but the fact is that half of the world, 3 billion plus people, live in severe poverty. That's insane to me, that that we have so much wealth and abundance for so many people in the world that literally is just being hoarded. And I'm not against capitalism, I'm not against working hard and being rewarded for your hard work, but when you look at something like token economics, or the economics and monetary policy of something like Bitcoin or any other altcoin that has a good token economic structure, these incentives are built in. The more that you contribute to the community, the more that you're rewarded. And like Didi was saying, price is important in Bitcoin because it's the incentive for people to secure the network. This is, Satoshi knew that when he built in the model. He knew that nobody was going to do work for free, and they shouldn't have to. But there's a lot of reasons that people need to care about the fundamentals when it comes to Bitcoin and blockchains, public blockchains. One, if you are in it from an investment perspective, you're going to do a lot better if you understand the core fundamentals
You're going to be a lot less likely to emotionally make mistakes. But anyway, but it's important to know the fundamentals and understand them, and not only that, but contribute. Like Dee Dee's doing, like I'm doing. Not just enough to. I mean, if you are participating in any way, that's better than nothing. But this is something that requires a large global adoption to really make a difference. And all the way up from 2012 when I got into the space until 2018, I was relatively private. I lived in the States. I didn't want people to know what my financial situation was, and I didn't, other than having my Bitcoin lottery on YouTube, I never really was public about things. And so in 2017, I saw the whole craziness happening with the ICOs and people, really on the wrong mindset when they talked. In 2016, conferences went from everybody you met was trying to disrupt something. In 2017, you saw a bunch of suits and a bunch of people talking about, prices of things, and a bunch of people marketing bullshit projects that had no true token use cases. And people even started saying things like Bitcoin sucks and this shitcoin is better and blah, blah, blah. And so you can tell these people don't understand, and that's the problem, is people don't understand what's going on. So in 2018, I made a decision to do two things. One was to educate, and this is why I started public speaking, the YouTube channel, doing conferences, things like that. And then also decided that the space needed more infrastructure in order to be adopted. And so we're working on two projects, and this is what my contribution back to the culture in the world. One, with Dee Dee and with you and with our team building, blockchain-focused, emerging technology-focused, co-working, co-living communities that together with combined mental powers, are creating disruptive, basically I'm calling them power plants, that are going to put out very disruptive technology that's adopted by the world in order to expedite the speed of adoption of blockchain, decentralized technologies, decentralized systems, things like that. And then to just educate. So this is like why we're putting out videos. And I guess that's my mission and what I'm trying to do.
Thank you. So both of your explanations kind of lead into my next question, which is within the blockchain space and the projects that currently exist, what aspect or what area do you feel need to improve in order for mass adoption to happen?
Do you know what it is? If it comes to crypto or blockchain space, what you call it is like you have two different projects. You have one kind of cryptocurrencies that are there to try and beat the next generation of new money, and you have blockchain projects that just want to decentralize one part of the industry of blockchain or the traditional industry. So people need to understand that there are cryptos there like Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash, you all know them, or Monero, Dash. They want to become new peer-to-peer digital cash that you can use for micro transactions. Other projects, they are building these beautiful decentralized dApps that will replace the centralized versions that we are now attached to as a community. So this is a big difference, I think. And people that get into space need to understand this first step. Are you going in this space to develop and to create a beautiful new world, like join House of DAO here in Kopangan and start to create real beautiful dApps and support companies that are creating these dApps to really decentralize the world and make it a more honest place? Or are you stepping into the space just to make money? But then when you get into the space to just make money, you need to realize that there are many people in this space that already been doing this for 10 years. They also have the same goal to make money. So as a beginner, you will not make money. You will lose money because you are not there with your mindset yet. And I think it's very important for people to understand that part of the whole aspect of blockchain and Bitcoin, I think. And that made me ramble on and forget your question, of course, like
but,
always.
It's funny on that note. I want to interject something real quick. Is there's a particular influencer, I won't name names, that I think about in probably 2017 or 18. Yeah. I went to a party of theirs, and I felt that this person was not contributing to the space in a proper way, to say it the best way, the nicest way possible. And I went up to the person and said, don't don't you ever feel like maybe you could be like using all of your influence to contribute to the space in a positive way? He goes, what do you mean, bro? I am. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, he goes, I have my community. And I said, well, yeah, but all you're doing is teaching your community, how to, dump on projects, and that's not helping. That's disastrous to the space. It's not contributing. I'm like, no disrespect, but I don't think that you really truly understand, how blockchain and token economics work, And he goes, bro, I don't need to. I'm all about making them X's. And I'm just like, wow, okay, yeah. So, and then I said, well, I said, listen, I've been in this space for quite some time now already, and you can still make money by building something for, like, building a project for the space or something like that. And he goes, bro, I'm not running a fucking charity here,
Oh my God.
And I'm just going, and this is the thing that people truly don't understand. Like, if you created because every unique blockchain project that's decentralized has a unit of value, which is what we call a cryptocurrency. And the reason for that is to be the units of account in that ecosystem, and also be a reward mechanism for decentralizing or securing the network or participating in governance, things like that. So imagine if you created a new currency that became adopted. Like, let's say that you created the decentralized version of Uber, call it Duber, for example, and it became wildly successful, as successful as Uber or something. And then now you've created a multi-billion-dollar, let's say I don't know what Uber's value, let's say you created a $10 billion ecosystem, and as the founder, you got to keep 10% of that ecosystem, because all founders should get to keep a portion of the tokens that they create as a reward for creating something that's valuable to the people. So now, if you did that, you've now earned yourself $1 billion. That's yours to do whatever you want with. That's not running a charity. That is becoming rich off of building something that adds more value to the people. And so this is what people don't understand. You can become wealthy by doing something that adds a ton of value to a ton of people's lives.
But that kind of wealthy will take longer, and people. What I experienced in the last 8 years of traveling and visiting all these shows and starting with Bitcoin mining and all stuff, is that now, after all these years, I realize we can all agree on the thing you just said, but the people's mindset is just not there. They want to have short-term wealth. They want to be rich really fast, and they think still that they can be able to find this, this altcoin that will multiply by 1,000 in 2 weeks' time. And people just have this mindset, because we are educated in the 90s, that the only thing that can make you happy in the future if you are very wealthy. So you need to make sure you have a good education, you have a good job, a big house, some cars, and then you will feel happy. So all these kids have the same dream. In the 90s, we were bombarded with images of all the rappers and all the NBA stars that had huge houses, welcome to my crib, all that shit.
Uh-huh.
That created the mindset, this is what I want, this is what I want. So everybody that is now stepping into crypto is educated in that period of time, and they all have the same mindset that wealth will create happiness. I think Kyle and I can agree that, of course, it's easy to be wealthy, but at the end it doesn't create the happiness that gives you this internal happiness which you get out of life. So I think the people in this space need to be a little bit more educated in this, indeed, because what is more fulfilling, that you create a blockchain project to just fill your own pocket, like this guy, the guy you mentioned, mm-hmm. Or you create a beautiful solution that will fill your pocket, but at the same time feed 1 million children's mouth, So you will solve hunger because creating a beautiful blockchain project of the distribution of food or whatever. You're still earning money, but you're doing good. And I think that is the change we now we need to make in this industry. But then again, all the youngsters will be, oh man, this old guy, he wants to save the world. I just want to make a Lamborghini and then I want to get out of the space. Also fine. I just made a video today. I asked, because I really am sad that this guy, Jared Tate from Digibyte, he stepped down. He was the founder of Digibyte. He just stepped down, and he stepped down for the reason what we are talking about now. He said this community has become one filthy, greedy community. And that is not why I stepped into Bitcoin. That's not why Carl stepped into Bitcoin. We stepped in for the revolution, to change the world, and to take the power back to the people. And that is it is a terrible feeling that I've been playing with in my head as well the last couple of months. Do I really still want to be part of this community or not? Do I want to be part of these people that only want to make money while I'm showing something completely different in my family? We are not the richest family in the world. We just travel. We are happy with a small beach house that we rent. We don't, own anything anymore. We spend not that much money, and we just teach the kids by leading by example that true happiness is in life, not in accumulating wealth. So do I still want to be part of this community that is now turning into this wealth accumulating monster, And then I just. One day I woke up and I was visiting here, this place, and I met Carl the Moon and all these guys, and I saw what was happening, and I like the guys. They have a different mindset. They are still young, but that made me realize I cannot give up. Yeah. I cannot give up. Exactly. I need to start making videos daily now to keep these true fundamentals in this space, to keep educating people why this space is important. Yes, I hope you all become millionaires, but then when you become these millionaires, please make sure that 20% of all those millions goes into charity or goes into supporting this disruption of the monetary system. But keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This is, I think,
or use it to use that money to build something cool. My story is I really believed in Bitcoin very early on. In 2012, I learned about it. In 2013, went all in, had some decent money to invest at the time, bought a bunch of Bitcoin. And by the beginning of 2016, I never had to work again in my life if I didn't ever want to. I could have just...
20,000 Bitcoins.
Yeah, right. It was not that much. But
please leave a comment. How much Bitcoin did he buy in 2012?
Yeah, like this video if you'd like 20,000 Bitcoin, and subscribe, and click the bell.
Yeah.
And hodl.
and
stack sats. But so I had been working my ass off ever since, a couple years after I stopped traveling. After high school, I traveled for a few years, and then after that, I just buckled down. Started with real estate, and then became a serial entrepreneur, and from that point on, I guess that was like 22, 23 years old, all the way until 2006. So I don't know how many. I have no idea how many years that is, but it's a long time. I worked my ass off, and so in 2016, when finally I could, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. By that time I had already built World Super Lotto, which is a Bitcoin-based lottery, and I had already been COO of a project called Credits, Blockchains as a Service, and working on those projects in crypto, and so at this point I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so I took some time off from actually working. I was still doing some investments and still following the space, but I'll tell you, not having a purpose in life, like having a bunch of money and then not having anything to do, like you can only party and travel and do nothing for so long before you feel worthless and you need a purpose in life. And so what I chose to do with the money that I made was start building again, contributing back to the space. And I haven't had to ask any type of investors for capital in anything I've done so far which I don't like to do. I've been able to spend my own money I've made on building projects, investing in myself and investing in projects that we're building. And so, yeah, it's great, accumulate wealth, but make sure that you spend it on things that are going to, give back to the world. And I think that's important. There's nothing wrong with wanting to secure your future financially. I think that's something that everybody should work on, but when you get to a point where you're comfortable, make sure, there's no point in just holding on to excess. That's not going to make you extremely happy. It's going to make you happy giving back. I think that, we've seen it in history before. All the richest, all the titans that built America, like Ford and Edison and what's the guy's name from the oil thing? The really, what is his name?
Warren Buffett.
Standard Oil.
I I don't know. We are from Holland. We invented America, so I know. I stopped after that.
Where is his name? I don't know, but like all
Bushes?
of the titans of America, like Carnegie and J.P. Morgan. So all of these guys became incredibly wealthy. You know, when the Industrial Revolution was happening in America, all of them became the wealthiest people in the world. And toward the end of their life, they began just giving it all away, you know, to museums and schools and things like that. And it just goes to show you that like they didn't really probably feel fulfilled until they started giving back. And so that's just a lesson of you know what to do if you do accumulate some wealth. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's just my experience.
You can only drive one Lambo. The second one.
Yeah. I mean, if you crash, it's nice to have a backup.
You need a backup.
Yeah.
So it's so sad what you share about Digiphoenix.
Digibytes
Founder. And it makes me think about how it's lonely. You know, lonely to be at the top, lonely to be the founder of basically a movement. And I can't help but see that in him and him stepping away. So what would you say to him if you had the opportunity?
You don't lose trust in humanity. There are also still people that really believe in life and in a better life and in a honest life and in decentralizing the world and in decentralizing money. So, you know, whatever he's going to do, I think I read that he's going to build projects now again because he doesn't want to have, he doesn't want to lose DigiByte, or he doesn't hate it, but he just doesn't want to lead it anymore because he wants to build again, you know, and I think I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult for everybody. You start a company and then the company grows really big and then this becomes this huge ship that you don't have control anymore, no full control anymore, because of growing, mostly this company grows into a direction that is not your passion, why you started it. There's also in traditional companies, that's why people sell their company after 10 years or 20 years, because they cannot do their passion anymore. They are like trying to steer it, but that's not their passion. And I think that is the same what is for him. So I wish you all the luck in the future with any project you're going to do, and wish him the best and thank him for everything he did already for the community.
You know, it's ever since 2017 when I'm going to conferences, 98% of the people I talk to, I don't have this common ground of ultimate disruption with. But when I find that person, you know, when I sit next to him or start chatting with him and we get a little deeper and find out, we really want to disrupt I mean, that is a really cool feeling, meeting someone, you know, who really has that same. And I think there's enough of us out there creeping in. Like, not everybody's out publicly exposed. Some people are building super disruptive things that don't want to be, you know, known for who they are. And so I think that, you know, it's important for us to not give up because there's nothing else really that we can do. This is the one thing that we have that can be the tool for disruption. So I think it's important for us and whoever, and for people like I felt the need to speak up, you know, in 2018 because I didn't see enough of people talking about the right things. And I think that hopefully, you know, if we just inspire 2 people, that they inspire 4 people, and et cetera, you know, then we have, I mean, like the thing is, Andreas Antonopoulos is an amazing speaker who inspired me a ton, but maybe he's not relatable to younger kids and things like that. And so this is kind of what I want to do, is be able to deliver the same message as Andreas, but
simplify it.
Yeah, maybe on a level that more people can relate to.
Yeah.
So a moment ago, you guys both mentioned House of Tao. And I think it could be really great to just take some time to explain what is House of Tao and what are we doing. Didi?
I want to know, like, Didi, what was it about that idea that's interesting to you?
For me, it's interesting because this life as a digital nomad Bitcoin family, let's call it like this, like digital Bitcoin nomad family, or whatever you call it, is a very beautiful life. But I think one of the core fundamentals of life is having a community around you so that you can share your passion, so that you can lead by example by showing your kids that there are also different people in the world that don't focus on the wrong things. Like I think many countries just create this bubble where people live in, and this bubble is then created by media, by governments, and just people believe that it's real life. They don't even step out of the bubble. Yeah, they step out of this bubble for 2 weeks when they go on holiday to the Maldives, and then they lay on the beach for 2 weeks, and then they have this freedom feeling, and then they say, oh, I wish this feeling could last forever.
Yeah.
Finally, I can go and dive with my kid or snorkel with my children. This is the most beautiful time in my life. And then 2 weeks later, they jump back, and then they just go back in this bubble at their lives, and they continue living this normal life again, forgetting about their passion and about the mindset they had in this 2 weeks holiday, because that is the true freedom they felt. And then they go back, and then they get into this bubble again where the media and the governments take control of what they think, what they feel, what they should do, and then they just continue this life again till next year when they saved all their money again to experience 2 weeks of freedom again. So I think House of Tao is exactly the opposite of that feeling, the feeling of being captured in this bubble. Now you get this freedom life where you can share your passion with more people, and your children meet children of their age, the same community, and you build this beautiful new future together.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it comes down to really, wanting to be around like-minded individuals and be able to, it all comes back to, looking at the way that humans used to live before we had industrialization and partitioning out land and making residential communities, and then dividing people off, and people went from being very communal, somewhat dependent on each other to help live, to make life easier. You live in a community before, and so and so would go out and hunt, and so would make the clean, and so would do the gardening, and someone would take care of the kids, and someone would do education, and someone would do whatever, and this is part of community living, so everybody's participating and helping out. And somewhere along the way we got really, really proud of independence, and it became something people became very proud of. Like how many times you hear someone be like, I don't need no one, I don't need nobody, I can take care of myself. That's true. It might be true. You might not need anybody, but it might be nice to have a lot of people, to help out in a lot of things. And and it's not just enough, in my opinion, just to be in a community, but you have to be in a community of like-minded individuals. And House of Tao happens to be a community with the mindset of reinventing the way that we live and raise families. And in order to thrive, we want to, as a collective, build very disruptive technology that changes the world. We're taking the Bitcoin approach to reinventing the systems that we grew up with. We are not telling you that you have to do what we're doing. We're showing an alternative way of doing something. We're showing an alternative way of raising families. We're showing an alternative way of education. And so House of Tao really became a result of, just me trying to understand how I would want to live a life with a family. And, because right now if I had a kid, I wouldn't want to put them in a public school or a private school system, that the ones that exist, the ones that teach education like K through 12, because I forget how the quote goes exactly, but Lenin said something like, give me your child for 4 years, I'll plant a seed that can never be unrooted, or something like that. And this is exactly what the traditional school systems, where they have your child for 12 years and plant all kinds of seeds about how they should be living their life, which, as we see a result, a majority of the adults are not very happy. This is what really got me thinking about the systems that we were told to believe are true, that maybe could be done in a different way. And and so I think it's really, really important and beneficial to be in a like-minded community. It's fun. I mean, we did it. We ran the proof of concept that Didi was talking about back in 2008, and it was amazing. It was great. And so what we want to do is we don't want to tell anybody that they have to join. We don't want to tell anybody that this is the way that you should be doing things. This is the way that we choose to do things. And we will produce these results, or the children will be the results of the efforts that we're putting forth, and the technology that we put out into the world. And we will broadcast this to the world and say, look, this is how our children have been raised. This is the result of what we're doing. and if you think this is something that you can agree with, please feel free to come out and join us, and if you like the idea, but you think that maybe you would do it differently, like, please feel free to go do something similar to what we're doing, but do it however you feel it should be done. And like, we don't have to dislike each other at all. In fact, we can still have a common collective interest in helping each other out and supporting each other. This is not something that we're trying to dominate at all, right? We're trying to decentralize. So this is kind of and then, like, one more example I want to give specifically that could be relevant to anybody watching. This idea of raising children, like, it's, hold on, Marta. Look, Marta always disrupts every video that we make. Just loves to come and just disrupt.
I just wanted to say that you're fine with making a video.
Oh, that was important.
Yeah, that is the first. Yeah. So
Okay.
1 hour, please be ready. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Marta. So this idea, and then Rupert disappears after we cut it, he'll disappear in my lap like a magic dog. Rupert.
What are you doing here, Rupert? So magical.
That was magic.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next subject.
So what I want to say about this idea of children, right? Like, so it's really important, I feel like, because this is something that maybe a lot of people will realize just the value of this. Because a lot of people, if you're just an individual or a couple, life is probably not that difficult. If you're a couple, you both have aspirations and goals and dreams, and you're working on these things together, you're helping each other out, you're out conquering the world and kicking ass and taking names. But when you decide or not decide, but have one anyway, a child, things can get dramatically different. Unless you are financially well off, every single time that you want to do something that's probably better not to have a child there, you have to think about, how is this child going to be looked after? I have to hire a nanny or a babysitter or put them in some type of boarding school or whatever. And whoever's watching that child wouldn't really care about that child. They're just doing their job, And so if you have a child in a community with 200 aunts and uncles, godmothers, godfathers, that when the baby is born into this community, everyone will love this baby, just like everybody in our community loves Rupert. Rupert? Yeah, guys, they all love me so much. They'll give me massages and everything like that. It's amazing. Huh, Rupert? He's super loved. And this is like this is our first child of the community, House of Tao. Maybe Dee Dee's children were, but Rupert's also there, huh, Rupert? Huh?
That is how
you
it. That
and,
is
you
how
and
it
Dee
all.
Dee's kids,
Yeah.
huh?
You need to play with the
Yes,
kids.
and Dee Dee's dogs and everything. So, but if you have 200 intelligent individuals who all love the children there, and they're all raising them, and they're from different cultures, and they're smart, and they speak different languages, have different cultural influences, like, this has dramatic effect on those kids and the way that they decide to grow up, and decide that the things that they decide to believe in. It's when I started traveling the world, that's when I learned the most about life. That's when I learned the most about myself. And what this could do for a child is it could give them the ability to gain everything that I got to learn and figure out from traveling and meeting different cultures and things by just growing up in this community. And this is, I think, something that's very, very important. Like, no longer, if this is the case, mom and dad don't have to really worry about if they want to go out for a dinner, or they want to go out and have for a party, or they want to go out on a vacation. They got the community to take care of these children, and they don't really have to worry about it because they know that they're in great hands. And I think that this is a huge difference. Besides, the alternative method of mom and dad having a child, like, planned or not, and all of a sudden maybe those dreams and aspirations and things like that aren't as feasible anymore. And someone maybe they have to drop out of school and get jobs, and then in 10 years they're disappointed because they're not where they wanted to be. That's not where they imagined themselves in life. Now you have resentment, and you have resentment against the kid and resentment against each other, and now you have a dysfunctional family. And this is very, very common in the world, and it's just because of this independence and lack of community.
All right, you guys, that was part one of 2 parts. So if you want to keep watching, go ahead and check out Dee Dee's channel, The Bitcoin Family, see where this interview goes. You got to check it out. It gets very, very interesting. There's some hilarious stuff and some good insights. So go to Dee Dee's channel, check it out, throw us both likes, subscribes, smash that bell. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you over on Dee Dee's channel. Take care.